Yo, I don't know what this gonna look like, but what's up? All right, let's get right into it, man. I got the deck. Check it out. Oh, the dragon. Hey, everybody, I'm Blake, and we're gonna be talking about Aragorn today. Man, Aragorn, he's kind of a interesting fellow. Like, I released a video and it got a lot of views. I don't know if everybody loved the video, but I learned a little bit about it and kind of got a feel for the vibe. Maybe I like be careful about putting like CEDH in my titles because I think I might have attracted some viewers that maybe were turned off by kind of the deck I put out, and I didn't really want that to happen. But I don't have like the food chain squeeze lines in here. Basically, what I do is I take a brawl deck primarily that really does well, like just pops off. I just kind of get it to a consistent rate. Kind of make those selections of cards. Wait for those really nice combo-y synergies, and then once I have a nice stopping point, I'll just basically put the deck together and then kind of go from there. Like add staples like Soul Ring and such. Some cards that might not be available, like for instance for Aragorn, some cards that really are amazing that aren't available on Brawl is like cards like Bloom Tender. That's just a fantastic card. For multicolored, it's a mana dork that adds mana based on the amount of colors that you have in play. So that's kind of like an amazing addition that we get. We also get some amazing mana dorks like Birds of Paradise and Noble Hierarch. So those are some nice additions too. There's an abundance of cards probably that aren't available on Brawl that are available in EDH, and maybe we can kind of look at that as we go through because this is primarily a Brawl list, but with just some different additions, maybe to upgrade the deck to an extent. So without further ado, we have Aragorn the Uniter, and he is a red, green, white, and blue human noble. He's a legendary creature, and his modes will all benefit you from playing cards that are multicolored. Really, you want to be setting these modes off all at once, which is really the benefit. Really, Aragorn really likes red and green spells. I would say more often than not. That's really where he's really shining. When he's getting stronger and making the synergy with your other creatures, that's what really makes him really strong. So we're going to be really focusing on that. Whenever we cast a white spell, create a 1/1 white human soldier creature token. Whenever you cast a blue spell, scry 2. Whenever you cast a red spell, Aragorn the Uniter deals 3 damage to target opponent. Whenever you cast a green spell, target creature gets 4/4 until end of turn. Again, that 4/4 is amazing. Cards like Selvala really shine with this card. Cards like Rishgar's Expertise and Last March of the Ents are just really extraordinary. And you can have amazing turns where you can really have huge swings just with those key components. Just like with a Selvala and Aragorn, really all bets are off. Like you can have just dramatic turns and really control the game from there. So let's talk about some of the components here, and we'll just kind of reveal what we got going on. I just had this this was one of my later editions. Basically, like when I make decks, I just compile things together. I really have a nice assortment of cards, so I just made sure this was just put in there. Fabro Elder is just another one of those. I'm just going to slot it back here a little bit. Just give me a moment here. Just slot it right there. That's fine. And then we can kind of go like perhaps how the list would be kind of shown on a Moxfield engine. So we have our Planeswalker here, our lone Planeswalker. She's wonderful. Chandra's just wonderful. Copying like something like even like a Prismari's Command is just something like kind of amazing where we're like putting a lot of cards in our graveyard, making like an abundance of treasures. It's just such a nice synergy just to copy our, instants and sorceries. And we can do that on each turn. So it's kind of amazing. An amazing card, really, even for Commander. What a cool Commander-centered Planeswalker it is. Of course, it has the +2 there for adding the 2 mana of any combination of colors. It's really nice the turn it comes out, especially if you have any, 2 mana plays, or maybe you have a land open and you can do like a 3 mana play. You can pretty much cast anything because you can do it in any combination of colors. It's really fantastic. Then you have these exile for the +1. That's relevant too. I'd say probably though, you know, if you get a Chandra to land, just this 2 mana is probably what you're going to be kind of utilizing. And you know, I've also seen people utilize the minus, you know, and you know, that can also be relevant too. So just a lot of modes there, and yeah, you get like a lot of options with Chandra. She's really great. All right, so let's just kind of ring these ones up and just kind of go over the creatures here. I'll be fine. Just kind of basically, primarily, the creatures are really going to drive our engines. Really want to create like make sure they're mana focused and they have the ability to create mana or card advantage. So Ragavan kind of fits both of those modes. Of course, in our opener, he's just like a really fantastic card to really rev us up, make some treasures, and get us ahead on you know, our curve. And then I like to play kind of an abundance of mana dorks. Aragorn really likes them a lot, especially when we have like a wide variety of dual lands that can kind of, you know, even still cast Aragorn on a faster curve. So like something like an Elvish Mystic is perfect, just like as that extra one. Additionally, we have the Delighted Halfling, which is perfect. A Noble Hierarch, of course, for that green, white, or blue mana. Very nice selection. Birds of Paradise, which will just give us a selection overall of any mana color. Very nice. And then, oh, I love these 2 mana dorks that we have. They're just so great with Aragorn. They really kind of give us like an additional pump, right? So like the Elysian Caryatid. This one's available on Brawl. But I just loved it so much, I just kept it in, even though I'm adding a Bloom Tender. I just really love that it adds like a significant amount of mana. Like this thing, once an Aragorn comes down, this thing will start producing an additional mana from what it would usually do without a 4-power creature on the battlefield. So you get 2 mana in any color too. It's really good for Aragorn. Bloom Tender again is just like another MVP where it's just going to create an abundance of mana for us, especially with our multicolored synergy. I think that was kind of lacking in my list that I posted the other day, kind of on the tube, and kind of got, you know, criticized for it for a little bit. So I just wanted to, it kind of fueled me actually, to be honest, to like, you know, maybe revisit Aragorn again and, you know, maybe put a more synergistic deck out there. I guess it's kind of like, you know, kind of defending your card selection and maybe your piloting skills and your you know, deck building skills. But you know, it wasn't like it was so serious, but I like making decks and I like power too. So this was just kind of a nice one just to kind of revisit and you know, maybe add a little bit more power than I usually do. Here's Fabro Elder. This one's another amazing card, which will just benefit us from playing an abundance of multicolored permanents. And for instance, just with the Aragorn on the battlefield, it's going to produce each color among permanents that are on the battlefield. So we'll produce that red, green, white, and blue. This one's cool too because you can attack in with it too. And then you can tap for mana later if you want. It has vigilance. So that's an interesting thing with the Fabro Elder. Again, all these cards, like this one is just exceptional because it'll just, you know, give Aragorn another chance to maybe get in power if you do cast it. They're never dead cards either, you know, because they synergize with like creating Aragorn's abilities. Uro is so good in this deck. And I just think it's just one of my more exceptional cards in this one. Just the fact that it's just drawing us gas, putting lands on the battlefield. It's always like scary with that escape cost. We can always kind of bring it back and have it get more value. It's just an amazing card, really. Gwenna, I have to thank an opponent I played today on Brawl. They were playing Kenrith. And I was like, oh, yeah, that's great. You can just curve right into your commander with this card pretty easily, and it'll just untap it. So just what a great addition this Gwenna is for us, too. Selvala is just fantastic. I mean, I think it's just #1 threat. Like, this thing with the Aragorn on the battlefield, if this thing is not dealt with, it's a problem. You know, and it's probably the #1 threat. Even if Aragorn is starting to pop off, you kind of have to take care of the Selvala because, you know, if I play, for instance, a Delighted Halfling and a Questing Druid, then all of a sudden Aragorn has 13 power, and for the cost of 1 and a tap, I'm creating 13 mana of any colors that I want. So it's just it's a really scary interaction, and it really kind of it makes this deck. I think it's really the primary focus of this deck, and I think it's definitely powerful in my mind. Electrostatic Field. This one's just a nice one because it's going to be dealing the damage to all our opponents based on our instants and sorceries. It's a nice wall too, and it will definitely synergize with some of the cards that we're going to be placing in this deck. Here's the Questing Druid. So this is one we kind of talked about. It kind of just, the one is Seek the Beast there. So of course we're going to have that instant, and we can get some cards out of it, and then we can go ahead and play it later for its casting costs. It's really nice for Aragorn to have like these double modalities, really give us another chance to kind of capitalize on all those abilities he has. A tally, of course. There's a tally, just a great red card, and it's going to give us a lot of value. So we just love a tally, just to slam and get some value out of our opponent's libraries. It's a really great card. This one I don't have yet, but it's going to be Zacama. And there is another card that I just recalled that I definitely want to put in, and I'll make a spot for it, but it's the Ojer. It really kind of goes with our electrostatic field. And there's another card that we play later on that kind of will benefit. I've had in the brawl situation where I'm playing like an electrostatic field, and I have Ojer on the battlefield, and I'm just pinging the opponent for 8 damage at a time, because I pump up the Ojer, and I'm just basically playing red spells, and Aragorn, instead of hitting for 3 with his ability, is hitting for 8 and so forth. So it's just a really good interaction. So I really love it a lot. So that one will be in there as well. Of course, I'll put the list on, I'll put the brawl list on there, because there's not that much difference between the brawl list and the, EDH version. I'm just like, for instance, like so far it's just been like Bloom Tender, I think, which has been like primarily different. So not too much difference. I mean, we played these very strong, enchantments of like Rhystic Study is very good. These Smothering Tithe is very good in Commander. All these good Commander cards. Woven to Thaw is just fantastic. And there's a really nice interaction. And I found out if I put a Curiosity on Aragorn, which is a card where typically blue tempo decks use, like they swing in and they deal combat damage and they draw a card off of that combat damage. It's really good. It's really good card advantage. What's really interesting about Aragorn is that if he has a Curiosity on him, then anytime you play a red spell, once you ping with Aragorn, you just draw a card, because they just have to deal damage. They don't have to deal combat damage. The enchantment says if this creature does damage to a player, you draw a card. So it's really exceptional. Like putting Curiosity on Aragorn is really good. And this is just a lot more cards too. Whirlwind of Thought just keeps generating tons of cards for us. It's really good here. Vesuvan Duplimancy, this should be good for all our ETB creatures and even Aragorn. So, I'm looking forward to it. Maybe even like copying like a Zacama would be really fun too, or even an Itali. There's a lot of cards in here that will target our creatures, so it's really good. Mirari's Wake, just a huge mana generation. This was Zacama is just so good, and you're just like going to be doing some terrible things to opponents. So we love that. Fiery Inscription, this was the one I was talking about, this like the electrostatic field. It's going to work really well with the Ojer. It's just going to pump it up a little bit more to our opponents with like a Ojer on the battlefield. We're going to be dealing that combat damage to opponent, or not combat damage, but just damage to opponent, and it's just going to go up because of the Ojer is going to be on the battlefield too. So very cool stuff. Here's the Fable of the Mirror Breaker, just a good one to kind of get some ramp and some cards in our graveyard. Very good for like our what's his name? Uro. Very good for that. And also to be able to have the token, be able to copy one of our other creatures is always nice, This is Curiosity. I haven't put it in there. I'm still acquiring that card as well. Chromatic Lantern, just to fix all our mana colors. Arcane Signet, just being a really awesome card, just giving us a little ramp, and we can use it immediately. We have Soul Ring here, of course. Just a very strong card, just kind of slots in even in a multicolored deck. There would be wrong not to play it, just probably replaces a land. Worldly Tutor. These are the cards that are not available in the brawl. Like specifically, these ones are definitely not. These 4 coming up. So Worldly Tutor, this can tutor for like a creature, perhaps maybe a Selvala if we want. That'd be a nice target, maybe for an Itali. I mean, it's really up to us. Mystical Tutor, this was a nice one. We can look for like a Rishkar's Expertise or a Last March of the Ents. Crimson's Wisp is just a nice one to give a creature haste. I really value haste a lot. Haste and trample is both very good, but I do like haste, and the fact that I get to draw a card is good, and it's just good with our Vesuvan duplimancy. And Aragorn just likes an abundance of low-cost spells. Then we're going to have some nice removal in the form of Path of Exile, Swords of Plowshares, just that cheap interaction that just exiles things. It's fantastic. A little interaction with blue, with the Swan Song is always nice. The Hazard, just a really great card here. Just with all the abilities of Aragorn, it's really elevated. It's just, the Fire Inscription and Electrostatic Field and Aragorn. This thing just does more. It can act as a land, or we can just go ahead and start, hitting our opponents with it and really benefiting from all those things on the battlefield. I love Prismari Command, just the fact that it can just loot stuff in our graveyard and create treasure, maybe take some things out with the damage. It's just a really cool multifaceted. Even the artifact removal is very nice as well. March of Swirling List is one of my favorite cards. Goes in like all of my blue decks. Just can't say enough about it. Just really can finish games, can help you protect your board. It just does all the things you want it to do. And the fact that you can pitch cards, it's very sneaky, right? So very sneaky card. Kazul's Fury, this is another sneaky card. Well, maybe you need a finisher, a little extra damage to an opponent. That's the way we could do that. Jawari Disruption, a little more blue interaction. Growth Spiral for some cards, some instant speed cards. You can ramp with it. It's a beautiful card. That land will come in untapped. It's wonderful. I love Growth Spiral here, especially that it's green and blue. It does all the things for Aragorn, the modes. You have to scry and beef up Aragorn. Beast Within, just a nice green removal there. Galvanic Iteration to double our instants and sorceries. Legolas Quick Reflexes for some removal and protection. Ancient Grudge for some flashback, some artifact removal and flashback. Just a great card for Aragorn. Just more additional modalities. It's all about the modalities, baby. Here's the Balagad Recovery. Returning target cards from our graveyards to our hand and also can act as a land, so very effective. Turn Timber Symbiosis for the land, also could act as a spell. These are very good for our Mizzet's Masteries if they get into the graveyard too. Strike It Rich, this is just one that has flashback. Just once again, a little bit of ramp. Just never hate that. Just love it. Shatter Skull Smashing, and for removal, Seagate Restoration for cards. Rishkar's also lands, of course, for the uninitiated. Rishkar's Expertise for just a massive amount of cards. And playing that 5 or less and casting it too also triggers Aragorn. Just a bomb card. Mizzet's Mastery, nice one there. That one will take into our graveyard. We could just select. We can overload it in some cases and really get busy. Lauren Revealed for some cycling, get stuff in our graveyard. We have definitely some good graveyard synergy. We'll be able to access it. Last March of the Ents, just another huge bomb with Aragorn. Can't be countered either. A big Aragorn's, that's 9 cards. So you can do a lot with that. So Nature's Lore. This is for a little more green ramp. We love it. Nature's Lore, 3 visits. Those come in untapped. You just go for a forest. Yes, you do. You just put it on the battlefield. It's not even tapped. It's a strict upgrade to you'll see the ones in the brawl list. I play Into the North and Glimpse the Future or something. I don't know. It's one of the new lands from Wilds, I think. And those are your substitutes. So these are much better, of course. Faithless Looting, just for some awesome flashback and selection, just to build the graveyard. So good. Expressive Iteration. Wow, so massive cards. Just once again, a lot of selection here for the cheap costs. Sets off Aragorn. All these are just nice multicolored cards. Red and green is very important here for Escape the Wilds for our 5 spot. So we get that triggers for the red and green for Aragorn, and then we get a lot of gas. We get 5 cards in exile and an additional land for that turn. We can play those cards to the next turn. The Marius Call, so we have all our multi-phase spells. And then some little crowd control, like Burn Down the House is always nice. Brotherhood End is nice. I love Angel Fire Ignition for giving Aragorn trample. You can also flash it back too. It's just fantastic for us. Really good with our Vesuvan duplimancy. And then, of course, we have like our assortment of fetches and triumphs here. So we have our channel lands, nice, just our full play set of channel lands. Then we have like just like kind of some land strewn across. I think I have the pathways in here. I just kind of put the land base together. It shouldn't be too bad. You know, I wouldn't expect it to be bad. I got the shock lands in here. I got some slow lands. I even have some, you know, commander lands that will come untapped because we're playing in commander. This one could probably be interchanged, like a rootbound crag. But we have like a spectator scene in here. So, you know, I put a lot of decks together here and there, but this one should be fine. I'm not really too concerned about the mana base. I have a lot of fetch lands here, so overall, the deck is ready to go. And yeah, this is it. So I hope everyone had a great day, have a great weekend, and I'll see you all later.